And I guess we're good, Cory.
We're good. We're here.
You know what? I'm gonna have the wife test it out. Hey, babe, can you just go on to the Freedom Financial Solutions and tell me if you can see Cory and I? I wasn't sure if we'd be able to see comments, like in the comment section.
Yeah.
You can. You can see us, and it's live. Okay, I see it here on my phone. Okay, Cory, so this worked, and so we're going to go ahead and action.
Action. Let's jump.
So today on the second episode of the Agents Roundtable here with Freedom Financial Solutions, we have my good buddy, Cory Bauman. We've known each other now for a few years, and I believe that I was trying to think about this earlier today, trying to remember, how did we get connected? Was it either through social media, or did we meet someone, or did somebody connect us? But then I remember we met at a Panera Bread, and we had a nice long conversation, and you were working at the time in an area of real estate, and now you've moved on. You're the chief operating officer of Master Networks, relocated your family from the area, where we actually lived around the corner from each other in Eagleville, Pennsylvania, all the way out to Texas. And so, Cory, appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today and sharing some of your knowledge, and really excited to kind of pick your brain about how Master Networks works, how it's going to work for life insurance agents, and a little bit about your story. So let's go ahead and let's just maybe just jump right into it. Tell everybody a little bit about your story and where you came from, what you were doing previous, and how you managed to uproot everyone to the other side of the country.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. First of all, thanks for having me on. And yeah, it was a Panera Bread. I think we were connected through possibly maybe one of your agents that was in the city at the time. And we were looking at launching a Master Networks chapter. And I think he connected with you. And then we had, so yeah, I appreciate it. So I actually was in the real estate business for 10 years. I was with Keller Williams, and I have my own business there in the Philadelphia area. I was in the Bluebell area, and actually grew up in Pennsylvania, so lived there all my life, and lived with my wife for 10 years down in the Bluebell area. And it was in real estate, and was looking for better opportunities to network. I had been a part of a networking group that great people. We met, I think, twice a month, but it was kind of the same old thing, and I wasn't getting a ton of business out of it. There wasn't a ton of value. I had just been looking for new opportunity, and Master Networks was new to the area. In fact, I didn't understand how new until the guy I talked to said, "You're going to have to start a chapter, and we don't have one there." So I did that, and the culture really resonated with me. Keller Williams has a great culture, and we were kind of in it paralleled Master Networks at the time, and I really got involved. And actually, I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time, it's who you're in proximity with. I hired the owner of Master Networks as a business coach, and he's a business coach, and he'd been coaching for years. I mean, he's got multiple businesses, and he was in real estate, so I wanted to follow his path, and he had been there, done it, and I hired him. And through that experience, then developed a relationship with him and the folks that were around him, and then just gradually started helping Master Networks, and then got this opportunity to move out to Texas, where our headquarters is in Plano, Texas. So if you're familiar with Texas, huge state, a lot of development, and just a lot of opportunity. So we moved out here to Texas a year ago, and December was a year. And but my heart's still in Pennsylvania, and I was just there for a week helping those folks. So happy to be on the call, man.
Well, again, I appreciate it. And I had an opportunity about 2 weeks ago to head out on a Wednesday morning and meet with some of the folks there in the Bluebell chapter, and kind of talked a little bit about it inside of our Facebook group here about what my experience was like. And a friend of mine who used to live in Pennsylvania now lives out in Florida. His name is Rick. It looks like, you and Rick had met each other previous in the past and got connected, and he had a really good experience with the chapter as well.
Yeah, it's a small world when you really think about it. And obviously, I'm very focused on building a network and understanding the value of that, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But yeah, it was cool because I remember Rick well, and Rick's a really good guy, and he was kind of going back and forth and that chapter didn't end up working out for him, but we're connecting him with a chapter in Florida, which is a really a good area for us right now.
Oh, very nice. Okay, that's great. And when you transitioned over and started the master networks, what was your experience like? Because I had been to BNI meetings and lit tip meetings. I had gone at 7 a.m. to the breakfasts and to the 12 o'clock lunches. And, not that I felt like I didn't belong, but, there were times that I felt like everyone was sometimes just there for a meal.
Yeah.
And they weren't really there to make a connection. And it was almost like, if you didn't have a lead for me, then, there was no communication there. It was like, okay, if you can give me something, I'm going to talk to you. But if you couldn't give me something back in return, I really don't have time for you. And, it was just something like over the years, just something that I had experienced. Just, making small talk, having conversations. I've been to business card exchanges. I've been to the after 5 o'clock, networking meetings, but really it's just a place for you to swing back a couple drinks and have some free appetizers. And, it was kind of like, for me, it seemed like it was a stop for people before they made their way home.
Yeah. There's a lot of options out there for sure. And I've experienced most of them. And what I will say first is I always say, there's companies out there that have worked really well. I mean, they've got, 250,000 members across the country, and that works for people. I'm not saying it doesn't work. We just felt when we started Master Networks, we felt there was a missing piece out there. And a lot of it is what you're talking about now, where there really wasn't a lot of like business training. And as an entrepreneur, you need the connection and the referral, but there was no training in these meetings. And there were some that they would say they were delivering training, but one of the things that we really wanted to focus on was delivering world-class training at every single meeting that they could take, an entrepreneur could look at, and they could take and apply to their business, or if they had a team, they could take it back to their team that week, and then be able to provide ongoing 24/7, like we have a Master Networks University where they can just plug into whatever they're looking for in their business. Maybe they're looking to hire somebody, or they need better skills at time blocking, or they need to know how to target the right client. Like all of those, the things we talk about are simple, but you can apply those things, and they're things we should be doing as a business owner. That was the one piece that we knew was missing. And like you said, when I was in real estate, man, I did not know how to network in the beginning. I would go to a chamber event. I would hand out 50 business cards, and I'd walk away pumping my fist, man, that was awesome. And you never made any connections. I never got any business out of it until I really realized that building a relationship and making 6 or 7 really good connections in that room of 50, setting up a follow-up meeting and really getting to understand that person's business and how I could actually come from contribution and look to help them first versus selling a service to somebody, because we always say it's not just us, but in the business world, you're gonna do business with people like and trust.
Right.
And when I go specifically, if I'm going to work with somebody, I expect their product and service to be top notch. So that's a given for me. But if you're only talking about how great your product and service is, it doesn't build that connection for that long-term relationship. And the trust piece has to be there first. And so that's what we try and build in our meetings. And we teach our folks how to really sit down and go through a series of steps to actually find out what an opportunity is. And 99% of the time on that first meeting, it's not going to be me doing business with you, Brett, directly. It's going to be who can I connect you with to help you grow your business. And yeah, maybe down the road, it is going to be us doing business together, but I don't initially go with that thought. I go with the thought is, hey man, tell me what you need in your business. What are you struggling with? And who can I connect you with to change the world for you, to change it all. And that's the big difference between us and some of these other groups, that you're not paying for, some of the other groups you pay or you invest or you pay whatever it is for the whole year, and you're actually expecting to get a referral because you paid for something. And that's
right.
That consumer mindset. We don't do that. You got to build a relationship first.
Right. And even in the brief amount of time, I think I was there for, I think we were there for a little over an hour that morning. What you just said was 100% true. There was a different platform that was laid out. And I'm gonna, I have a specific question for you in regards to, if you're going to do the apples to apples comparison. And look, as entrepreneurs, as independent contractors, we need to be out. If you're not networking, sooner or later, you're going to be not working.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
so as independent contractors, we need to be out into the public space.
Yep.
One of the things that I really enjoyed was the assignments, how we kind of broke into one-on-one or two-on groups of three in the groups that what we did. And I'm going to have you touch on that here in a second. But what would you consider if you were, right? So if you were to do the apples to apples comparison, what are three key bullet points for independent contractors if they were to get involved in a master networks? What are those three bullet points that really would stand out to them?
Yep. Well, I think it kind of goes back to our mentality and what we're trying to build, like the way we approach like the relationship piece of it. So coming from like a mindset of abundance versus scarcity, you know, if you're a real estate agent in residential real estate and you enter a group, a lot of these other companies or organizations is like there's one real estate agent, that's it. And in a lot of cases that's the case, but we look at it like that one real estate agent has 300 people in their phone, right? So they have a network they can bring to the group. And we actually try to build a referral partner for them that actually probably is in real estate. Maybe that other real estate agent focuses on seniors, right? So you guys are insurance, very similar. We call them verticals. So we break down those verticals. We actually look at it as a benefit to have somebody else in there that's doing a different vertical, but in the same industry, because you're going to be able to bring your 300 people, they bring their 300. That we look at the opportunity to have exposure to their networks. That's a big difference. Number one. Two is the training. There is no other company that trains like we do in our meetings where it's different. Like we have 2 years of training built out. So every single week you get a different piece of it and it's available to you nonstop. Like you can have it whenever. It's part of membership. I would say probably the other piece of it is that we have affiliate rewards. Affiliate rewards is there no other networking companies doing this in the world. And what we do is, so we actually don't want them to pay actually for networking. We want them to network for free. So if somebody joins, so Brett, you go and join Master Networks, you're going to name somebody who invited you to Master Networks as your sponsor. And then what we do is we pay, we pay that sponsor $10 a month as long as you're a member. So the idea is that we want you to network for free. So you're naturally going to grow. You're going to grow with the group. You're going to invite people in. So after, 4 people, you're networking for free because we give you that $10 back each month. So there's no other company that does that. And again, we're coming from a place where we understand there's an investment that you have to make in the groups because we're giving you a tool and a resource to be able to do this. So you don't have to go out and do it on your own. But there's no other company that does that.
Can you touch on, you brought up a great point, and this was what really stood out to me was the training. Again, if we're looking at an apples to apples comparison between the other networking groups that are out there that you can join and some of the after hours networking events that are out there, as opposed to what you folks are doing, training. Did I hear you say that you have 2 years of training logs already built into your system?
Yes. Yeah. So we have 2 years, so they'll never see, I shouldn't say never, because there's a lot of similarities, right, in stuff we do, but that you won't see the same training piece in a meeting, for 2 years. Like we have it built out so that they're not getting the same thing and it's not repetitive. The training, just to kind of go back to that and how, like when you say world class, like it better be, like if you're going to say world class, it better be. There is a gentleman by the name of Dave Jenks, who some of you may have heard if you're in the real estate realm, or if you've been associated with Keller Williams or really the business world. He's a business icon. Anyway, he helped Gary Keller, who wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which is the number one selling real estate book out there. He was working with Keller Williams and helped him write that book. He then got into a relationship with us and helped us write kind of the training for Master Networks. So he did a lot of training with Keller Williams. And then the owner of Master Networks got in a relationship with him. So the owner of Master Networks and Dave Jenks wrote a lot of that first initial training, and he continues to consult with us on that training. So we put a lot of time and effort into that. We just revamped our Master Networks University, and a lot of it is video intense because we know that training is going more video. Guys and gals, they don't want to be, there's a place for handouts, but you don't have time to sit there for 30 minutes. Like it's little
Right.
snippets and things like that that you get. So that's where the training comes from.
Gotcha. And those assignments, they're like you said, they're always going to kind of be new and fresh. That's again, like I mean, I literally was sitting there. I had a preconceived notion in my mind, like a lot of people do before they come out to something like that, about what it was going to be like. And the moment that they started to hand out the assignment that you were going to work with someone and it was going to help you grow yourself as an entrepreneur, I was like, boom, that blew my mind. Because I was like, nobody else is doing this.
Yeah, we talk about all the time creating an environment and experience in that meeting so that and as business owners we talk a lot about making mistakes. You have to learn from your mistakes. Like we want to create a safe place that they don't feel like they have to be perfect when they come into a Master Networks meeting and they've got to nail their soundbite every single week. Like we want them to make mistakes because it's a safe place for them to learn, so that when they get out in front of their clients and potential, other business people, that they nail that soundbite, right? So we create that place where, 1 week, Brett, there might be a training piece that you go, man, I am killing it at this. And then you're a value add to the rest of the group because you share your experience. Another week, you're going to go, oh man, like I wish I was doing that. And somebody else will be good at it. So then it creates this conversation where you're learning from each other, truly learning from each other and your experiences. And we have time for that in each meeting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I thought it was great. And again, for the folks that are going to be watching this inside the group, and I'm also going to try to figure out a way that I can share it also to my personal profile. And we've got thousands of people, on that profile too, so that a lot of people can see this. When you're in life insurance industry and you're able to get involved, what would be 2 or 3 other really popular industries, maybe outside of real estate? Because real estate and insurance seem to be the 2 most popular. What are like 2 or 3 other really popular industries that are in these groups?
So a really big one, which a lot of people don't think about, is actually the chiropractic space. So, and let me explain why, right? So a chiropractor, what we found is they really succeed in a lot of our groups because they have the business mindset, and they're also connected to the massage therapist, the acupuncturist, those types of people in that realm. So we call them spheres, right? So the real estate industry is a sphere. They're connected to, they probably already have a relationship with a mortgage person, an insurance person, home warranty, home inspection. The chiropractor has their own sphere. The contractor fields, like they have their own, the trades. The plumbers know the GCs, they know the roofers, like they're connected to that sphere. So we look at it as spheres, and we actually have it's funny, we call it the wedding table sheet because it looks like wedding tables, but it's spheres, and it reminds you that, okay, if you can go out and get the chiropractor's got the other connections, and they'll help you grow the group that way. Trying to think of another one. We've got some interesting ones too, because our mindset is, if you own a business, you come from a place of contribution, you're looking to grow your business, you're a fit. Now, we're not a fit for everyone. There's sometimes that people just aren't a fit, but that's what we look for. So it doesn't necessarily need to be. We've had groups that started without a real estate agent and they go find one. It just depends on what they're doing. The marketing field, payroll, like all those people can really benefit.
Yeah, and while you're talking, I'm thinking back. So the woman who was in my group, she worked as like a tax accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another gentleman there who worked in photography. And in my mind, I'm looking to have new headshots being taken. So there's all kinds of opportunities. But again, being in that group type setting, that atmosphere, one of the assignments that we went through, for example, had to do with challenges in your business, challenges in dealing with people. Now, for me, coming from a leadership capacity and always continuing to work on myself so that I can get better, so that I can teach better, it was a great opportunity for me to be sitting with someone who maybe isn't in so much of a leadership capacity. They work individually. They don't necessarily have a team of individuals, but they're looking to possibly expand their business or expand their role at their company. And so I was able to kind of share some insights as to my experiences over the last decade and what that's been like. And it was kind of like an aha moment for her. And then for her, her experience was really her relationship with her husband, and just the communication barriers about between her and her husband, and how that kind of rolls over into anybody who's married and has that kind of communication barrier where it's like, you're trying to give your spouse directions on a place to go and they're like, you don't know where you're going.
Yep.
And so it was just kind of neat just to kind of have those conversations, and it was refreshing to be able to, go through that experience. So you had talked about training, you had talked about the affiliate program. There was a third point.
The affiliate rewards program. So So we reward our folks for bringing folks into their chapters and into master networks all over the country, not just their chapters. So if they'll sponsor someone, bring them in. It's a natural part of networking. You're going to invite people to your group. We want them to network for free, so we basically pay them to network.
Got it. And Master Networks is located all over the country now, or is it just East Coast or Midwest, or how does that work geographically?
Yeah, we're all over the country, so we're considered nationwide. I mean, there's certain areas that we have more presence than others. Like our big regions are Texas, of course, because we're here, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Delaware. We've got presence. Florida,
Maryland.
Maryland, nothing there yet. Nope. We're looking for somebody actively right now, actually, to launch Maryland, Colorado, Utah, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, big presence there. And, there's a lot of opportunity for us right now. We feel like things are kind of primed for us to be the next, I don't want to say option, but like the way we look at it is we are that option, right? Like, we want to be the household name that when people think about how they grow their business and how they create more value to their clients, it's being a part of Master Networks, because they have a board of directors that really is there for them every single, like we say, where else could you pay $49.95 a month to have a sales force of 25 people that every single week you meet with and you educate on how to refer business to you? Like, there's just, and I think the other big thing for us is we recreated, so we have a why statement now. We recreated it last year because we felt like we had great tools and resources, but we needed something that really people could stand behind and understand that we were building a community and a movement, not just a place that they could come and get referrals. And one of the things in there says beyond the business. We want to help them build legacies beyond the business. Beyond the business meaning kind of what you touched on. Like, we look at it like, what's going to happen because we know it's going to happen at some point when the economy, takes a dump again. Like, I mean, it's going to happen at some point.
Sure.
So who are you going to have? Because there's a lot of uncertainty in those times. What's your network going to look like? Who's going to be the trusted resource for you when that happens? Or if something tragic happens in your life, and hopefully you have family, but we've got so many stories around the country where the Master Networks chapter was actually the folks that stepped up to help them in a time where maybe they lost their house because of fire, or they lost a loved one, or whatever the case might be. There's so many stories. That actually is what makes us powerful, because we're trying to build this community to support each other through personal growth and business growth. And that's the big difference. I think for me is we don't just get in a meeting and go, how many referrals can you give me today? And if you don't give me the number of referrals you're required to give, we're going to kick you out of the group.
Right.
We look at it as like, look, we're all leaders, we're all business owners. Let's hold each other accountable, set the expectation, and then have real conversations, and sometimes difficult ones if a person isn't showing up to a meeting, and hold each other accountable and create an atmosphere where we're like that, rather than a corporate like entity dictating what we're doing.
Sure. And again, I felt that as well. And that was something, that I felt that was completely different again from prior experiences.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about you for a little bit and the mindset of an entrepreneur, right? Because you came from the real estate industry, which working independently, but you've leveled up, right? In a sense. I mean, you've taken on this huge job of being able to expand this company that is going to be a viable option for anybody who doesn't want to be involved in something that is more corporate entity and more individualized, like you said, accountability, right?
Sure.
And so you've kind of gone through, I'm sure, some growing pains. I'm sure you have. Here over the last year and a half, there's probably been some major growing pains, not even, just the uprooting of your family clear across the country. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what that's like, the growing pains, and maybe any times where you kind of felt like, oh, I don't know if this is right, or did I make the right move, or, the second guessing yourself?
Yeah.
And how you stay in the game. Can you just talk a little bit about that
Sure.
process?
I think as entrepreneurs, I mean, I listen to like a lot of podcasts and things like that. I think as entrepreneurs, there's always that self-doubt, or sometimes there's that self-doubt, and it is all a mindset for me. I think as an entrepreneur, the biggest thing that we battle a lot of times is the folks that aren't and work 9 to 5 jobs and don't understand what we do. And no matter how much you explain it, you feel like you have no support sometimes. And that's a challenge. I mean, when I told my mom that I was moving to Texas, I mean, I had already been with Master Networks as a member for 4 years, and I really don't think she understood what I did. And I've explained it many times. And it's hard to tell your mom you're picking up and you're moving and you're taking her granddaughter that's 4 away from her into Texas. But at the end of the day, I had to stay focused on the fact that I knew what that opportunity was going to be like, and that, the big picture, like what is the big picture and what are the sacrifices you have to make now? And there's definitely times where I do a lot with the Pennsylvania region now too. So that I took that on in addition. So I actually, we have regional partners around the country that partner with Master Networks headquarters, and I took over the regional partner also in Pennsylvania. So I'll be traveling a lot there. It's additional something I took on, but I look at the legacy piece of it is like, what can I do to make the biggest impact? And that might be I'm working, there's Tuesdays and Thursdays. I told my wife that Tuesdays and Thursday nights after Bryn, my daughter, goes to bed, like I'm going to probably spend 2 or 3 hours doing stuff for that region or whatever. So I think it's the sacrifices you make, learning from the mistakes. Like we've been through some growing pains, and not being, how do I say, I guess being open to sharing the kind of the ups and downs. So we stood on stage last year. We have a national convention every year that we do in Plano. It's called Connect. We bring entrepreneurs together. They can connect with each other. Master Networks hosts it, and we'll have probably 500 there this year. It's in April. And we stood on stage last year and we walked everyone through the ups and downs and the down at that time that we were going through with Master Networks, because we felt as business owners, as our obligation to share what we were doing so that the entrepreneurs in the room could learn from it. And what we saw is the trajectory of growth starting to slow down. And we realized we had to make some changes. We had some quote leaders in places that weren't taking action, weren't really growing it. And so, we're looking at revamping our whole technology right now. There's all kinds of stuff we're doing. And, they say businesses get to, like, they make it out of that first year, which 80% fail, right? Or whatever I make it out of the first year, the second year, the third year. Every business, when they get to like 6 or 7, they face this enormous challenge of how to scale. So that's where we were at. And we were in year 7, literally. We're in year 8 now. And we're redoing all the technology, looking at better ways to scale that we can get the message out there, because people can only take it so far. Like, you've got to be able to get it to a scalable place. And so we shared those challenges. And I think while they're difficult, it's always going back to that big mission and having a big enough mission as an entrepreneur that you're not just, for you guys, right? Like, you're not just selling insurance to somebody, you're changing their lives. And I've been following you guys on your Facebook page, and you make a huge difference in somebody being able to get a policy that protects them down the road. You're making an impact. And if your true why you're doing this, or why you're doing what you do, is something you believe in, you've got to believe in it, then you'll be fine. You'll get through those things. But having that big mission and being able to believe in what you do keeps you moving. And, for me, like, I'm not like, I like material things just like anybody else, but for me, I'm an experienced guy. So, like, if I can go out and grow a business and be able to provide a better life experience for my daughter, like, that means the world to me. If I can leave a legacy in Pennsylvania of Master Networks folks that has 20,000 members, and they're changing communities, not just themselves, but they're changing the economy, and they insulate themselves and kind of build their own economy. That's powerful. So while there's a lot of question marks, you just kind of figure it out, you go, you do it, and you kind of learn along the way. And you're also not, you don't get to a place where you think it's sail, like there's never going to be clean sailing. And if it is clean sailing, be ready for something to come. Be ready for it, be prepared. And when it hits you, have people around you, honestly, that support you, that you can bounce things off of. And that's what we do with Master Networks. So I moved into Texas and I had a network kind of like 700 people already. So while people don't understand, I've come to the place where on my journey, I may actually lose somebody that I thought was a friend. But it's okay. Like, and I have friends from high school that they work 9-to-5 jobs. They're great people, but when we get to talking about businesses, that conversation we're not clicking, but I'm okay with that. So they have their place in my life, and don't feel like you need, 100 people in your life to be close with and mastermind. Like, pick 5 or 6 really good people that you are in proximity with. And I know Brett's probably said this and you guys understand this, but if you're the smartest person in the room, it's time to move to a different room.
You're in the wrong room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room, right?
Well,
so I hope that answered your question. I went off on a tangent there.
No. You know what? That was awesome, man, because there were some key nuggets there. And what's interesting is, right, so you're the CEO of a company. We're independent contractors here working in the insurance industry. But some key things that stood out to me. You got to have a mission. We say the same thing here. What's the mission? What's the mission of why you're doing what you do? Second key was the why. What's your why? And that goes for any industry where you're working independently. What's the reason why you're doing what you're doing? The belief. Do you believe in your product or service and what you're doing? The support of the people around you. And the people who are going to be supportive of the nights when you're not available or the weekends when you're not home, right? A lot of our folks work part-time. They work at a part-time job. Then they do insurance in the evenings and the weekends. The spouse has to be supportive of that. The kids have to, be somewhat understanding why mommy or daddy can't be at basketball practice or soccer practice. And then the masterminding of the group. Right? And that comes right out of Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. You have to create a mastermind group, which full circle master networks. That's kind of like that can be your secondary masterminding group outside of Freedom Financial Solutions group. Here's the one thing that I like to add, and then I'm going to try to figure out how you and I can see the comments, because I know people are leaving comments, but I can't see them, and I'm going to try to figure it out here while we're on before we wrap. What would you tell somebody who is maybe in a state or a county somewhere? Like, I have a couple folks out by like Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, PA, or someone out by Ohio somewhere. If there's no chapter there, what does that look like? We don't want to give over like a ton of responsibility, but if there's nothing there and they want to build something there, a group, a mastermind group after watching this, how can they go about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get that question often. Can you hear me okay? I had to take my headphones out. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, good. In fact, it's really one of the things we've really focused on in the last year, because again, like, we were looking at scalability. And so how do we go launch a group where there is nobody? You certainly have to find the right person. So I'll say this, there's 2 types of people out there. There's like the pioneer, and then there's the person that wants to be part of a group. So what we look for, if somebody wants to launch a group, we have the system in place to be able to help you do that virtually. We do Zoom meetings, we do things like that. We get it up and going, and then we'll have support, physical support in that region that would help you kind of launch that meeting itself. So the first step I would say is, if you're interested in launching a group and you don't have one in your area, reach out. I'll directly set up a Zoom with you, and we can just chat through what the steps are, because we've learned a lot, launching groups. We know what's going to be successful and kind of set you up to succeed. So definitely reach out to me. I'd be happy to either plug you into a group or help you get one started. And there's a process to it, and there's there's steps in place, there's timelines, there's all kinds of stuff to make sure you guys succeed with that. So again, that's where we're growing. So like, if we have like if it's, within 2 hours of a chapter in Florida, we'll have a regional partner in Florida come up and help you launch it and that kind of thing. So, but we've learned how to do it virtually a lot better than we ever did before, which we needed to do. So that would be the way. If you go on our Master Networks website, you can, there's a map on there. You can see kind of where the chapters are located.
Okay.
And that would be the best place to start. If you see that we don't have anything in that area, then certainly reach out. Happy to help you, get one started. That's the other thing I didn't mention. I always tell people, I think I kind of mentioned this, but I started a chapter and made a lot of mistakes in the beginning and didn't have a lot of support at that time because we were a pretty new company. And I've learned a lot just from traveling around and seeing what works and what doesn't. And so I'm able to kind of share those things with you guys. And I wasn't somebody that Master Networks went out with a search firm and hired to run their operations. I've been there and done that. So that's where I really think I can be of value to your people.
Awesome. I just kind of I minimized. I went back. There was a lot of good mornings, hellos, nice to meet you. What I'll say is in closing, when we wrap, maybe you could just kind of drop a link, what you just spoke about how to get connected to you, how to look at the map of the different chapters that are out there, right there inside of this news feed, inside of this Zoom meeting. And so in closing, again, man, I appreciate you taking the time, to be with us here this morning. I'm glad that we finally got the time zone we got to put together, but it was a blessing in disguise because it was the first time here running a Zoom meeting through Facebook, but I think it went off well. And I'll definitely, be in touch with you here, and I'll look forward to Wednesday mornings. It's going to be my day over in Bluebell.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to connecting with you in person next time I'm back there in March. And your people also, you're on the Facebook page, reach out to me, send me a message. I'm big on the face-to-faces. So if you want to do a Zoom meeting, I'd love to learn about what you're doing with your businesses and how we can help you, whether that's through Master Networks or connecting you with somebody or whatever. That's what this is about. Not doing you can't run a business on an island. You've got to be surrounded by people and have people around you. And that's what I'd love to help you guys do that.
I love it. Cory, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you. Have a great week. Have a great day. And we'll be talking here real soon.
Thanks, Brett. Take care.
Take care now.